My family excluded me from their dream vacation, so I canceled their plans funded by my money. My mother told me my presence would spoil their trip. So I reversed every booking they made with my funds and watched their plans unravel from a distance. They had orchestrated an idyllic family getaway, every hotel, train, and glass of Tuscan wine meticulously planned, without breathing a word to me. But they made one critical error. They used my money. During a quiet moment, my mom pulled me aside and said, "Next week is meant to be special, and you being there would disrupt it." My father chimed in, "You've changed too much." I tapped my fork against my glass, acknowledging their words. That night, I canceled every charge for their Italy trip, locked their travel passes, and voided their airport transfers. At the airport check-in, they were turned away from everything. My brother-in-law's text came first. "Unlock the account immediately." I replied, "Sorry, I'm too different now." Furious, I couldn't sleep. They had planned a flawless Italian holiday, Venice, Florence, Rome, without me. Luxury accommodations, high-speed rail, exclusive vineyard tour, and reservations at elite restaurants were all arranged. They used my money to fund it, yet my name, my daughter Lily's, and my son Ethan's were nowhere on the itinerary. It was just my mother, father, sister Brooke, her husband Tyler, and their 2 kids, the family they deemed worthy. The truth hit me when an email confirmation landed in my inbox by mistake, likely forwarded by Brooke. It detailed every aspect of the trip, dates, travelers, and itinerary, and it felt like a blow to my chest. I scoured the email, hoping to find my name buried somewhere, but it never appeared. 6 months earlier, at one of our routine Sunday dinners, Mom had pitched the idea of a grand family vacation. She wanted the kids to see Europe while they were young, and mentioned that Brooke and Tyler were strapped for cash. Could I cover the initial costs? She promised they'd pay me back. Fresh off a lucrative consulting deal, I agreed without hesitation, eager to do something meaningful for the family. I funded everything, flights, hotels, train passes, and more. Then they excluded me entirely. I didn't confront them right away. I waited until the next Sunday dinner. Mom served roasted chicken like it was just another evening. Dad droned on about his golf game. Brooke smiled as if nothing was wrong. After dinner, I casually brought up the trip, saying, "Italy sounds lovely this time of year." Silence fell. Mom looked at me and said, "Next week is special and you being there would ruin it." Dad added, "You're too different now." No one contradicted them. I tapped my fork against my glass again. "Noted," I said, and left it at that. I took my kids home, tucked them into bed, and when the house was still, I got to work. Every reservation was in my name, hotels, passes, transfers. They hadn't even tried to cover their tracks. One by one, I reversed the charges, froze the travel cards, canceled the transfers, and voided the hotel bookings. By morning, Tyler's first text arrived at 7:42 a.m. "Unblock the account now." Calls from Mom and emails from Dad followed. Brooke sent a screenshot of her crying daughter accusing me of cruelty, but I didn't respond. They wanted a family trip without me? Fine. Let them pay for it themselves. They strolled into JFK like they owned the place, with first-class tickets and matching luggage. Tyler, in sockless loafers, thought he was already European. Brooke's Instagram story, captioned "Ciao Bella," showed champagne glasses clinking. They had no clue their plans were collapsing. I hadn't just reversed the charges. I'd contacted every hotel, explained the situation, canceled the Rome airport transfers, the Chianti Vineyard tour, and reported the train passes as stolen. I changed the travel portal's login credentials, erasing every trace of their trip. At 6:12 p.m., just before their 6:40 p.m. flight, Tyler texted, "Why are we denied boarding?" Brooke followed. "Did you cancel the flights?" A flurry of calls came next. It must have been chaos, 4 adults and 2 kids stranded at the gate, stunned that their fully paid trip no longer existed. I sat in my kitchen with Lily and Ethan, making homemade pizza. They knew nothing, and I wanted it that way. They think Grandma and Grandpa's trip fell through due to unexpected issues. By 9 p.m., the texts turned desperate. Tyler called me psychotic, claiming I was hurting the family. Brooke said my kids would hear about this someday. Dad wrote, "You've humiliated us, you went too far." I replied, "Hope it was still special." The next morning, their car was back in their driveway, defeated after a 20-hour ordeal. Then came the next phase. That afternoon, Mom showed up at my door, no makeup, hair tied back, her tone flat yet irritated. She didn't apologize. Instead, she said, "You've made your point," and lectured me about how my actions drove a wedge into the family. I needed to be more understanding. It wasn't fair to ruin their long-planned trip just because I felt left out. Then she pivoted. Anyway, about the backyard, the contractor's set for next month and we don't want to lose the slot. Dad thinks you could help with the deposit. I stared, incredulous. She genuinely thought I'd cave, as I always had. I nodded slowly. Let me check my accounts. I'll let you know by the end of the week. She left, satisfied, thinking she'd won. But I wasn't playing their game anymore. I let the silence stretch. They thought I was sulking, regretting my actions, and would soon return with a check and an apology. They didn't realize something in me had broken. On Thursday, Brooke texted, all business. Mom said you're considering helping with the backyard. Let us know so we can confirm with the contractor. No warmth, just expectation. I left it unread for hours, then replied, still sorting things out. I'll update you soon. That turned into tomorrow, then the next day. By Friday, Mom sent a longer message. The contractor needs the deposit today to hold the schedule. Can you confirm? I responded, might be able to cover half. I'll check with my bank. I didn't check anything. Saturday passed in silence. Sunday, nothing. Monday, Dad called. I let it ring. His text followed, we're not trying to pressure you. Just need to know what's happening so we can plan. I replied, totally get it. Should have an answer soon. Brooke sent a voice memo Wednesday afternoon. I didn't listen, just stared at the waveform, knowing she was playing nice. That night I texted, talked to the bank. Small issue with a flagged transaction, should send by Friday. Friday came and went. No payment, no message. Saturday, Dad texted, we told the contractor we'll handle it ourselves. Don't worry, Mom followed. If you want to chip in later, every bit helps. I could feel their frustration, not over the money, but because I wasn't bailing them out as usual. That night, Brooke emailed a photo of their backyard, patchy grass, a few markers where a patio might have gone. Caption, still hoping to do something before the weather turns. I didn't reply, I just stared. The gap between us wasn't uncomfortable anymore, it was intentional. For the first time, I was done ensuring their comfort. They were starting to feel what it meant to lose me. A week of silence followed. No texts, no nudges about the backyard, no talk of rescheduling the trip. It wasn't peace, it was them regrouping, waiting for me to crack. Then, out of nowhere, my cousin Rachel texted, hey, checking in. Grandma's upset about the Italy mess. You okay? Grandma. She hadn't been mentioned once. She lives alone in Albany, hasn't traveled in years, but sends handwritten cards for every birthday. I asked Rachel what Grandma was upset about. She replied, Brooke told her you canceled the trip out of nowhere and cost them thousands. Grandma thinks you're having a breakdown. They were rewriting the story. I wasn't the son who paid and was excluded. I was the unstable one who wrecked their perfect vacation. I called Grandma. She answered instantly, her voice soft but heavy. Nathan, what happened, honey? I told her everything, calmly, no dramatics. How I'd been asked to pay, how they planned it without me or my kids, how I found out by accident, and how they said I'd ruin the trip just by being there. She didn't interrupt. After a pause, she said, that's not what they told me. They said you refused to go and canceled in a rage. I clarified it wasn't true. She was quiet again, then said, I'm so sorry, Nathan. I don't know what's wrong with them. The fallout was swift. An hour later, Mom texted, did you tell Grandma a twisted version of events? Brooke followed, you're making this worse. She's old, Nathan. She doesn't need this stress. Tyler chimed in, this is toxic, man. You're turning people against their family. I read each message, feeling neither anger nor sadness. They'd excluded me, lied about it, tried to sway Grandma, and now dared to call me divisive. I sent one final group text to all four. I'm done providing financial support, effective immediately. No more trips, renovations, loans, or we'll pay you back promises. If I'm too different to be family, I'm too different to fund it. Good luck with the backyard. I hit send and set my phone down. No one replied that night. They knew I meant it. A week later, Brooke called unexpectedly. I didn't answer. Her voicemail was bright, almost comical, like we were catching up after a casual trip. She said she'd been reflecting on my words and suggested we all meet soon. The kids miss you, she added, as if that would reel me in. Days later, Mom sent a photo of cheap patio stones scattered in their yard. No workers, no progress. Caption, we're trying to make it work ourselves. Found a local deal. It was a subtle shift, implying struggle while leaving a door open for me to step back in. I replied, looks promising. Let me know if you need help hauling. That cracked the door just enough and they walked through. Mom texted a long message about family, seasons, and how money wasn't why they wanted me around. They'd gotten lost in planning, she said, and it was time for a reset. Brooke messaged separately saying she felt off since the airport and wanted to reconnect. No pressure, just coffee next week. Even Tyler, usually terse, texted, I think I overreacted. We all did. No hard feelings. It was a coordinated rebrand. I wasn't toxic or erratic anymore. I was valuable again. So I played their game. I agreed to meet Brooke, set a date and time. She replied with a heart emoji offering to pay. The morning of, I canceled, citing a vague work call. She was polite. Totally understand, let's reschedule. We didn't. Mom asked for $300 for gravel delivery. I said I'd check and get back to her. I didn't. Dad mentioned rising firewood costs. I asked for the supplier's link, said I'd look into it. I didn't. Each time they followed up, I mirrored their own vague courtesy, polite deflections, no commitments. It worked. Brooke went silent first, ignoring even basic texts. Mom's messages grew shorter, then stopped. Tyler unfollowed me on Instagram. By October, Dad skipped his annual family birthday group text, a tradition for a decade. They couldn't call me out. I hadn't yelled or fought. I'd just become them, empty promises, no substance. They finally felt what it was like to be on the outside of their own game. Thanksgiving crept up, but this year my phone stayed silent. No group texts, no passive-aggressive RSVPs from Brooke, no half-hearted invites from Dad. For the first time, I wasn't invited. I didn't ask or pretend I expected an invite. Instead, I watched it unfold on social media. Brooke's Pinterest perfect table had 10 seats, pumpkins as placeholders, and fan napkins. Caption, "Grateful for the real ones." My name, Lily's, and Ethan's were absent. It wasn't an oversight, it was a choice to erase us. I didn't tell my kids. We made our own dinner, mac and cheese with waffles, their choice. We ate on the couch, watched old movies, and laughed until I nearly forgot the day. Days later, I ran into Rachel at the grocery store. "They didn't invite you," she said, already knowing. "Brooke told Grandma it was easier this way, less tension." They'd framed cutting us out as muting background noise, as if their problem was facing what they'd done. Christmas came and I didn't check my phone. A neighbor who follows Brooke shared a family photo, matching pajamas, 5 stockings, hot cocoa. No stockings for Lily, Ethan, or me, not even placeholders. The message was clear. They were erasing us. It stung briefly, then settled into a calm distance, not bitterness but clarity. I stopped checking their names in my alerts. For New Year's, I took Lily and Ethan to Seattle. We wandered Pike Place Market in the rain, rode the Ferris wheel, bought overpriced souvenirs, and stayed in a hotel with robes that made them giggle. It wasn't perfect or planned, it was ours. That year was my most financially successful. I landed 3 new clients, wrapped a tough project, and had more in my accounts than ever. I could have funded their backyard or their trip twice over. Instead, I built a heated driveway for my house and planned a summer road trip with my kids. No group chats, no approvals needed. They didn't exclude me because I'd changed. They did it because I stopped playing their game. I stopped making it easy to use and ignore me. When the money stopped, and I refused to offer silence or forgiveness, they didn't know how to handle me. So they cut me out for their comfort, and I stayed out for my peace. In February, an envelope arrived. No return address, just my name in Mom's shaky handwriting. Inside was a note and a $3,600 check. The note said they wanted to mend things and that the check was my share of the Italy trip I didn't take. I laughed, not at the amount, but at their belief that money could erase what they'd done. I didn't cash it. I pinned it to the fridge. 3 days later, Tyler texted, "We need to talk." I ignored it. Then Brooke, "Grandma's in the hospital. She asked for you." I verified with the hospital. It was true, a minor heart issue. She'd asked for me twice. I drove to Albany. Grandma smiled like no time had passed. We talked for an hour, books, weather, small things. Then she said, "Don't let them write your ending." I didn't know how to respond. Driving home, I stopped at a diner, sipped coffee, and thought about the check. That night, Brooke called again. I answered. She dove in, talking about a reset and a real conversation. No direct apology, but she said her kids missed Lily and Ethan. She mentioned Mom and Dad planning to sell their house with proceeds for a family fund and hoped I'd contribute. I hung up without a word. The next morning, I mailed the check back. No note, just the check. That was the end. No texts, calls, or fake brunches followed. The group chats went silent. Birthdays passed unacknowledged. Rachel said they sold the house and bought a smaller one outside the city. No one invited me to see it. They don't hate me. They're scared of me. Not because I was angry or dramatic, but because I walked away without looking back. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.